Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be doing a review on the JINGZHI A7C micro quadcopter. This is a review model from lighttake.com. We'll have the links in the description of where you can pick this up. What we're going to do is we're going to unbox it here. We're going to kind of like do a first initial assessment, see what's in the box, set it up, go through the controls, and then go ahead and take it out, do some flying in the park, in the house, see how it flies, get some hat cam video, and also this one has a camera on it, so we'll also get some onboard video as well, see how that works out. And then come on back to the bench and do a final pros and cons afterthoughts and see just how it did. So let's get started. So it looks like this one out of the box did not have a manual included in the box. That's probably an oversight by the factory, and they just forgot to put one in the box. So I'm going to have to just kind of go out in the field and test what everything does. But basically, just looking at the controller, they do label. They've got these stickers here, so I'm assuming this would be your rate speeds here on the left top trigger, and the right top trigger would be your flipping, and the control sticks don't click in, so it doesn't look like those are going to be any modes there. And then we have our camera. These are labeled nicely. We have a camera for photos, for videos, and then we can turn our lights on and off. Now this is supposed to be a headless and a return to home capable quadcopter, so gonna have to test that in the field on what does what. It is one of those TXs that does have a screw in the back holding the battery door on, which I usually, as long as they do kind of clip on and hold with this little tab, I usually just leave the screw out. So looks like it takes 4 AA batteries and it snaps in there nice and tight, so I'm just going to leave this screw out. But anyway, there's the controller, and of course you've got basic controls, which I'll just go over real quick for any quadcopter. Is your if it's a mode 2 controller, you're going to have your left hand throttle up and down here, your yaw here, and your pitch for forward and backward, and your roll for rolling left and right. So that's the controller. Then you get this little bag here, and in the bag we're getting a USB charger. This you'd plug into any phone plug or a computer. We're also getting this little mini screwdriver, and we're getting 4 props, 4 extra props, so that's good if you end up crashing and need to replace some props. And this one's kind of cool. We get a little prop removal tool. You've got your USB thumb drive for plugging into your computer, and your micro SD card for recording video. This is a 4 GB, and so you'd plug this into your computer to view the files after taking them on the quadcopter. And it looks like there's a little slot here right on the bottom. Yeah, so the contacts are going to be going up and the writing is going to be facing down, and you just click in your card there. You've got your camera in the front, and it looks like these are removable prop guards that come on it out of the box. Looks like you can remove these if you get a little better at flying. I'd leave these on if you're just beginning. It'll save you a lot of headache on crashes and breaking your propellers. And the battery is actually not too tight, so you probably don't really have to put any kind of tape for a grip on it. Looks like it does come with a 300 mAh 3.7 volt LiPo, so that's what they give you for the stock battery. And as far as battery expansion, doesn't really look like you can fit a larger battery in here, so that's going to be about it. That kind of maxes out the inside for this battery. So anyway, it's kind of interesting looking. It's got that kind of phantom look to it. And real quick, I'm just going to take off one of these prop guards and just see if it's easy to take off. Yeah, so those are real simple. One screw, take those off if you get a little bit better. You'll probably get more flight time and less wind resistance if you take these off, and you'll have a little bit more fun once you get better flying. So I'm going to go ahead and take all these off before I go out to fly. Let's go ahead and take the A7C out to the park, do some park flying, house flying, see how it does, and then come on back and do the final pros and cons and afterthoughts. So let's fly. Okay, so we're at the park, and I'm going to do a couple of flight tests with this little guy at the park and see how it does. Alright, ready to go, starting the camera. Okay, so that's rate 1, real mellow rate. So I'm going to immediately switch to rate 2, and there's also a rate 3. Alright, that's a pretty good tilt and pitch for rate 3. Do have a bit of a breeze coming from the east at about 5 miles per hour. So we got breeze coming from that direction. Alright, let's see what we got here. We got flips. So clicking in the right trigger one time, and then any direction we press the right stick will do flips in. Looks like it does give it a boost to throttle. Okay, so there's the flips. Let's go ahead and do a range test real quick since we still have battery. Got fresh batteries in the controller. See how far we can get this. So 50 feet, 75, 100. Wow, so I'm way over there. So basically, whoop. It's definitely got more than a couple 100 feet range, which is more than enough for a small guy like this. Okay, so that's the headless. So I pushed up on this throttle trim here, and now I'm in headless mode, and it's actually doing really good. I'm just pressing the right stick in any direction at whatever yaw rate I'm at. And after all that flying and spinning around, it's still pretty perfect in its bearing. Okay, now I'm going to press down on this, and it looks like it's doing a return to home. Okay, cool. So going out of headless, just pushing up on the throttle trim. I'm going to press down on the throttle trim and see if it'll do a return to home. Yeah, so that's your return to home. Pressing down on the throttle trim and then pressing up on the throttle trim is your headless mode. Cool, so everything works as advertised so far. The wind's starting to come up a bit, but still flies pretty good in the wind. Ooh, definitely pretty fast in rate 3. You get some good flight time too. Wow. I'm actually digging this little guy. Stable. It's got a camera. Looks are pretty nice. It's got 3 rate modes that seem to vary. Looks like the yaw stays the same at all 3 rates, but it's got a decent yaw. Okay, there goes our battery. Gonna stop the recording. Wow, so pretty impressed with this little guy. Definitely one of the better ones I've tested recently, and they give you a full-size controller which seems to have great range in the park. I was able to go all the way across and not lose connection, so this is definitely a winner in my book. Plus it's got a camera. Cool. So we're going to take this back to the house, do some indoor flights, and also go ahead and do kind of a final pros and cons on the bench and see how it did. Okay, so we're in the house and we're going to give this guy a little no-wind house flight, see how it does. Okay, ready to fly. And I'm just going to do a quick gyro accelerometer recalibration. So both sticks to the bottom right, you're going to see some flashing and hear a beep, and that should be your leveling calibration. Let's test it out. Okay, so there's our hover. Starting to drift a little back. So with some trimming it gets a little more stable, but not bad. It's pretty stable. I'm going to go ahead and start some recording here. I'm pressing the camera button there. Also going to take some snapshots. Okay, so when you do press the camera button, you're going to see the lights flash, and then there's going to be a red light underneath indicating it's recording for the video camera. So here's the yaw rate in rate 1. And let's see what rate 2 is. That's right. So this one has the same rate of yaw in all 3 modes. And this is the rate 1. Real docile and slow in rate 1. This is the maximum. So good for beginning or in the house. And then rate 2, you get a little bit more roll and tilt. And then rate 3. When you get better. Flies really nice. Has real nice and smooth self-leveling. No wobble at all. When it's going back to its center, there's no wobble whatsoever. And that's pretty good. Lights are really nice looking. Easy to tell orientation with the red and the blue lights. Let's see what our lift is like from a hover, full throttle. Decent lift. It doesn't punch right away, but it gets going pretty quick. And you also can turn off the lights with this little button here. There's a light button there. Save some power if you're flying during the day. Turn them on at night for your orientation. Do some flips. Right button and moving the right stick. Flips well. Keeps its height pretty good. You don't have to give it much throttle. Throttle trim is going to be your headless mode, pushing up. You're going to see some blinks and you're going to hear the beeping. So we are in headless mode now. Wow, so it kept its bearing really well after all that spinning. So I'm basically just giving it some yaw and pressing forward on the right stick, back, left, right. So it perfectly has its bearing still with all this spinning. So that's really commendable that it's keeping its bearing. Okay, so going out of headless, pushing up on the throttle trim again, and then the return to home, the same throttle trim button, but you just push it down and it's coming right on back, exactly where it took off from. So that's great. Real commendable on it keeping its bearing. Does a really good job. Okay, so let's do a transmitter shutoff test. So if we do lose connection, turning off now. 1, 2. Oh good, so it just kind of slowly drops. It doesn't cut it right away, it just kind of slowly powers down so you won't crash too hard and hit the ground. So that's actually a good feature, I like that. Okay, so I'm just going to fly around the house a little bit and use up the battery. Okay, so there's our low level battery lights blinking. And so there we go, so pretty much immediately drops, not long after they start blinking, and then it drops to the ground and then the low voltage cut off. That's a good feature so you won't kill your battery. So let's go ahead and get on back to the bench and do our final pros and cons afterthoughts on this guy, get its flight times. Hey guys, welcome back. So we were able to take the A7C out to the park, get some indoor flight, go through all its paces, test out everything, get some hat cam video, some onboard video, and which I posted up, and you could see that as well. And so we're just going to go through some pros and cons and see how it did. So first of all, the look of it, it's really well done. It's nicely designed. The fit and finish is nice. It's well rounded. It's got kind of a neat look to it with the camera in there, and also easy access on the micro SD card in and out. I really like how they put this together. It's got a nice little holding tab here for the battery. The battery slides out pretty easy when you pull it, but it's not going to fall out in flight. So they did a really good job on the design of this and implementation. It's got some nice LED red and blue lights you saw. In the house flight especially, you could kind of see them. So we're going to go through some pros and cons. First of all, amazed at its ability to keep its bearing, to remember its bearing. This thing did flawless in headless mode and return to home as long as you launch facing away from you. Whatever you do, spinning, all that stuff, flying around, the bearing always kept this direction when I tried to do the headless and the return to home. So really impressed with these guys for making this work well. and I hope to see some more products from these guys. The transmitter, you don't normally see a large transmitter like this with these little guys, but that's appreciated. There is a pro and con about that. Basically, it's large, so it's not as portable, but since it is larger, you get better control. It's easier to control the craft instead of having one of those tiny little handheld game stick controllers. Did have 3 flight rates. The pitch and roll gradually get more and more aggressive, but the yaw did stay the same in all 3 flight rates. The lift was kind of average, wasn't really too slow, wasn't too fast, wasn't nice and punchy. It was just basically just kind of an average lift. One of the things that I didn't like about this was when you did lower the throttle, if you cut the throttle all the way, it would cut immediately, but if you're punching it up and then you went down on throttle, it kind of had a delay with that for some reason. So if you went up too high and you're going to hit the ceiling and you came down a little, you might still hit the ceiling because of that little bit of delay in the throttle cut. The flips were good. It takes video and pictures in this little form factor, and it's all built in, so that's a plus. So the flight times were 5 minutes and 40 seconds until the low voltage lights would start blinking. Then basically another 10 seconds until it would force land. So, and then it did have the motor auto cut off, so you wouldn't ruin your battery. And as far as the range, I did mention it in the flight video. I believe it was around 100 feet. Might have to go back and check what I said in the flight video, but that day I did a bunch of reviews, so I kind of forget what I said for this one while I was testing the range, but I think it was around 100 feet. Anyway guys, this was a review model from lighttake.com. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I do a lot of reviews like this, so check out the channel. I think you might like it. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.